Now, how did you start to forgive your mom? Like, how did you go from, if you're gay, I don't want to, I'm not going to claim you, at this day and time? Like, you're only 19. Now, I understand, 20 years ago, maybe, but not that long ago. Did you have anything to say? Because
well, not as far as any kind of judgment or what's right or wrong, but I will say, first of all, I know it's not my place ever to judge one thing or another, but I will say that I think anytime we have feelings that are unexplored, that we push down or we say this is wrong, or we always, it's really important to air them out, to talk about them, and to be willing to just examine how sometimes the way we're brought up, you know, an absence of a parent or just our influences really determine how we feel about the world. Yeah. And I think that's really important to explore. And I think some people just really, after, you know, it's like they grow up and there's wounds there, but instead of exploring them, they kind of become scars. And then that affects the way they are in the world. And this is everybody, really. We all have that. So I think what I will say is ultimately I think it's really important to explore some of that, and to, I had heard a definition of healing as the application of love where it hurts.
Beautiful, beautiful. Also, I think, I read a quote somewhere that when you dishonor a child, you dishonor the world. It's like when you do something like that, like molesting a child in their youth, you're going to scar the child for the rest of his life. If you're a father, you're not there in your child's life from when she's a child, the child's whole life is going to be just trying to find something to fill the void that you left behind as a father.
The thing about your father, you don't know, do you know what happened to him? That he can't love you?
I don't know, that's why I've forgiven him. I don't hold anything against him at all. I love my dad. As a person, I love him, but I don't hold anything against him at all.
But you said, like, if he dies, you wouldn't care. Like, do you talk to him? Like, did you call him on Father's Day? We kind of had that conversation. No, but it's not like you know, every day after that is Son's Day. You know, he didn't call. So okay.
I think things that happen to us sometimes too when we're very little. I think anytime under age 10, we always think it's our fault.
Yeah.
No matter what, you'll hear everybody. Parents get divorced. They think it's my fault.
Yes.
So that's the other thing too, is it's so challenging for when we're younger, because we always think we're wrong. Somehow we did something, and we form what they call irrational beliefs, where we say things about ourselves that aren't true. Problem is, unless we can get to some of those irrational beliefs and say, well, what's the truth? We keep on with that.
And that cycle goes on, and there's some people that never get out of it. I can say for myself that I'm out of that now, and now life is exciting for me. And before it was just oppression and sadness. I felt, you know, that's all I felt.
Really? Because people would look at you like, oh, look at that brother, he's handsome as this, and it was.
I was so insecure when I was a child. When I was so insecure. I never thought I was good looking at all. I was so insecure. I was quiet. In high school, I didn't talk at all. And speak to my people in high school. I mean, half of them probably don't even know who I am because I was so quiet. Like, yeah.
Well, that's where I think the role of self-forgiveness comes in. Yeah. You know, more than anything, I think we hold a lot against ourselves, and whatever we hold against ourselves, we see around us. So we have to examine where we are hard on ourselves. Where do we not give ourselves enough slack, and just say it's okay, and forgive ourselves a little bit. And to me, it's amazing how that opens up the world. All of a sudden, the world looks kinder.
Yeah, and if God can forgive you, then why can you not forgive yourself?
Well, I'm still at a point where I don't know if I feel that gay is wrong. Because I grew up feeling that way. Definitely hate gays, facts, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But since moving to California...
Yeah, especially in this city, as far as homosexuality, I mean, as you look around, it's, you know, there's gay marriage here that just got recently, you know, whatever. But this town exactly is... I think in mostly a lot of big cities like Atlanta, there's a lot of homosexuality there. In New York,
Atlanta for real.
Like a lot of big cities are mostly, you know, pro-gay, but I still don't think that makes it.
I just would like something clear, even if it is in the Bible. I just
like something that says thou shalt not be homosexual.
Thank you. I just like, well, just make it clear. It wasn't one. Just make it clear, because I grew up thinking it was clearly no ands buts about it, even though somehow we overlook it when we look at fashion, because somehow God made these people very talented, and some of them very gorgeous. You know, I don't care if George Michael has a penis growing out his nose. That man is good looking. Like, things like that. I'm like, well, why are they so talented in this and that? But you know, maybe to make sin look more desirable. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying that at this point, I haven't had any concrete, and I go, well, that's not my judgment. Then that's on you. And there's the other things I can hate about somebody if I want to just hate somebody. Over than that,
I don't hate people who are homosexual. I hate the
sin itself,
spirit of homosexuality.
Okay.
Because I know what I've been through in my life and what it's caused me in my life. A lot of pain and a lot of confusion and a lot of. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay.
So.
Any? Yeah. I still I had a cousin.
I mean, I grew up with people in my church. There are a lot of guys that were my age who were obviously gay, but you know.
But you know, what I don't know was You said I grew up at the people in my church that were gay, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, there was the guy who played the organ. He was.
Thank you. And
he would bring other guys who would, you know, wear makeup and bring like different guys.
Did they have the what you call it, the finger waves?
Yeah, they had finger waves.
Thank
and
you.
Makeup and all that stuff.
I'm like, how y'all talking about homosexuality? But it's okay if you play the organ.
And he did a sermon. He was a preacher as well. He did a sermon about being gay.
Being gay.
I forgot what it's about, but I was like, okay.
That's what I don't. It has to be addressed. It has to be addressed.
It needs to be addressed.
It has to be addressed. This is the time. It has to be addressed. Yeah. And I'm gonna address it Sunday. I don't know how I'm gonna wrap it up, but it's got to come out so we can have a discussion.
It has to come out
because now it's law. Now you've got. I'm confused. I'm older than your mother. I was gonna say old enough to be your mother, but I'm older than your mother. So.
And think about what homosexuality is. Think about, you know, think about, you know, gay clubs. You know, they having sex everywhere.
But I don't think these people who are gay. You saying they have a choice not to be, but they don't have a choice to be. Like you can see in a 2-year-old, you can see in a 4th grader. You're like, okay, Percy's gay. You know, whatever.
And it's all about, you know, it's all about personally within yourself. What do you want? But
not everybody gets to that point.
True. Some people never get to that point, and they spend the rest of their life, you know, living. I don't want to say living a lie, but to me, it's living a lie. Because I know that's not how I was created. That's not the way God wanted me to be.
Maybe you were just straight that went through a time as opposed to you kind of was.
I don't believe anybody's born gay or anybody's meant to be gay. It's
so interesting that you, after telling your story, think that. You know, I don't know.
That's the thing, because once your eyes are open, you see the truth.
Okay.
Opposed to before, you think what you're doing is right. When you see the truth, it's the truth.
I think I hear what you're saying, you know, and the only thing that.
Well, who's saying?
Well, what everybody's saying, but you know.
I didn't know you were talking about.
You know, I think the important thing though is it's so important in my experience just to be gentle with ourselves. You know, when we any kind of what I've learned is that judgment is stressful on everybody.
Very.
You know, and so I think it's really important. Just to remove the judgment. You know, you can still say, well, this is what I choose for my life or whatever, but what I like is that it's like not my place to judge and say it. And, you know, what I just try to do is focus on the moment, really be my most loving self to who's ever in front of me. To see what they would say, see the loving essence of the person that's in front of me. And in that way, it's like not my responsibility. What is my responsibility is myself and being loving, removing the spirit of judgment, and working on my own self, and really tuning into myself and God and what choices I feel are right. And in that way, it releases a burden. I can have any friend that I want, you know, as long as I'm true to my own sense of self and what's right for me.
Leslie, you have missed your calling. Like this right here, you can break something down. I mean, simple. That if I get it, I mean, from almond milk to world's issues.
Well, I think what you're